Testing, testing. Mic, 1, 2, 3. Looks like we're good to start. All right, let me go ahead and get my windows all set up here. Oh, 200,000. Impressive move. 150 to 180. Oof. Oof. What a fall there. 180 to 160. Very high volume. Not a big fan of that candle, especially with that kind of volume. What's the news on this? Strategic collaboration. Okay, so nothing really crazy. Yeah, this one might just be a complete rejection. We'll see. This candle looks really bad, but who knows? The volume, it's pretty heavy volume. BKYI has been just kind of incrementally going up this whole time. Pretty low float. The volume's been incredibly high on it. It's a little cheaper, but this is still a pretty impressive move. It's worth noting this last week we were seeing a lot of the big moves happen very early in the morning or late in the evening. So this is the first move we've seen, at least recently, where the biggest mover is in the morning during pre-market, not during market hours or another time. Probably just going to sit tight for a bit here. Still feeling very iffy about this stock right now. Right, this huge rejection on the highest red bar. Feel iffy about it. If it ends up moving, then maybe that could give conviction for another trade when the next stock pops up. But for now, that's really all I'm using it for, is a measure of what is to come. Yeah, as far as actual gappers go, we had a buyout, which is not really a huge deal. And this one was up over 100% at one point. A bit higher price stock. Really low float, though. So a couple interesting things to watch. Let's see if anything develops from them. This is the one I'm really curious about, though. I'm probably not going to take any position, just because this looked really nasty. Unless we see massive volume, right? If we see like 500,000 share volume spike going up, that'd give me more confidence to go long. But we would need something pretty drastic, I think. I'd say there's a higher chance, just because of this, I think there's a higher chance it rolls over. Also, a few days ago, too, that we had a kind of pump and dump thing set up here. Curious if it's going to have a repeat of that. But yeah, it's really just this and BKYI that's moving. There's not a lot of other interesting contenders that I can see right now. Just got to stay patient for a while. But yeah, I did update the spreadsheet here. I need to add a column here to update this, because right now I don't have anything that shows the current account balance after commissions. So I want to make something on here for this, because right now it shows the balance before commissions. So this is a little bit inaccurate. I have the net gain loss, but I need to make a column to actually show the account balance after commissions, because I feel like that's more appropriate. Like, it'll give a better picture, I think. And then we're back to this, seeing another test lower. It is curious that this did end up having this pretty nice bounce, and the volume was like significant. But it's really just throwing me off seeing this huge hammer candle. I'd give it like maybe like a 40% chance it'll go up, maybe 35%, just because of this interesting volume on this. The main reason I'm giving it such a chance to go down is just because this is overwhelmingly bearish. It's really ranging between this 146 and 158. Who? What's that? News about BKYI. Oh, yeah. I saw. There was news this morning for this. Yeah, what time was it exactly? 5. So this was probably directly because of this. Yeah, it's really just a partnership, though. Yeah, a new partnership. That's really it. Interesting that it made that big of a move, if that's all it was. And LSP did end up rejecting. I thought there was a high chance this was going to happen. Like I said, I thought there was like a 35% chance we're going to see the leg up. The volume on this wasn't terribly high, but it wasn't insignificant either. And in the context, right, a few days ago we had a pop on news and then we saw this huge flush. It's not at all surprising to see this do it again. Again, it's also a cold market, so... Yeah, well, I mean, one other thing too about AKYI, right? The flow was lower, right? You know, 3 million. It had decent volume, right? We were seeing minute candles around 1 million. So around a third of the float was trading. I don't know what the short interest was, but maybe there was a short interest play. The daily chart doesn't look terrible, right? We've been stabilized here for a while. Maybe it was just the news with the low float, and there wasn't a lot holding it back, right? There wasn't a lot of people underwater on this stock, so maybe that gave it... And it's cheaper too, right? It's also cheaper. I think all three of that might have contributed. Really hope it holds up, because if this holds up, this could give confidence to people to buy and hold moves later today. Really what I'm trying to assess today is just how much are stocks holding up after they pump, right? Because this one was terrible, right? We had a news come out for it and just rolled over. Massive bearish candle on this one. And I mean, the odds that this thing goes back to flat or even goes down to like 120s, I think is maybe like 60%, 55%. I'd give it a slight edge that it's going to go down. It could bounce a little bit from here just because this sell-off feels a little drastic for this volume, but it's so hard to say. I've been bearish on this part of the move. To say it goes down more, I'm still mostly bearish, but not quite as much. Yeah, I guess we're just waiting till the half-hour mark because there's nothing really, to me, worth watching. I don't want to get involved in this. The float's great. The volume's great. It's just, it's so extended. I feel like if I buy around here, I could be buying at the end of the move. And it's kind of the same principle as before. If this thing's going to run without me, I'd rather it run without me to signal that the market is heating back up. So yeah, I mean, I'm just mostly watching how these stocks are performing. This one is really depressing me how much this one has failed to hold up. Right? Realistically, two stocks were moving on my scanners and one of them's failing horribly. So that's a 50% failure rate. Not reassuring. With how much this has fallen, I'm like starting to be like neutral with this. This volume has been becoming lighter. If we see this continue to go down to like 120s, 110s, I would maybe start to become more bullish. Because it's starting to feel a little extended. But I am keeping in context the move from a few days ago, where this did come back to the previous level, and it went significantly below it. On lighter volume, too. So that context is important. This is this a death spiral? I'm not sure from that. Okay, yeah, 3 years shows this is a death spiral stock. So lower levels can be justified. Got JZXN moving. This one's really cheap. I can't really afford to trade this one. Commissions are going to be too high on it. ZBIO is moving. This one looks better. Oh wait, what the heck is this? 5 minute looked neat, but this is very choppy and yeah, the volume. Yeah, even just looking at the volume, this is extremely low volume. 80-cent spread. I'll keep it on watch, but I don't think I'm interested in it. I would trade it. The price wouldn't stop me, but the volume is what's stopping me. This volume's too low. That was a trend we had last week, too. A lot of stocks were moving on lower volume. It's worth noting that this was a lower volume move. One thing that may become somewhat relevant too is this was kind of one of the big movers from last week Friday, and this one completely died. So people may be looking at this and having more hesitation too. Another signal that it's still somewhat cold. We're really just in this cold stretch right now. Got like only this stock to work with. Hmm. It's really hoping to be a little warmer this week, but so far it's not starting off too great. This also appears to be a death spiral stock, but not quite as bad. Right, this one's only losing like 100% or 50% of its value per year. It's not as bad. This one has been hovering around this 2 to 210 range. We had several instances where it's kind of peaked up here around 1 million. High volume. It's just not really broken. Kind of curious to see what happens. What happens when we break above this? Assuming we do. Right, we've had another instance now where we've had over 1 million volume on this break of around 210. Hmm, 5 minutes till the half hour. Let's see if anything comes out. I'm still really surprised about this level of volume. This feels incredibly high for only a 3 million share stock. Hmm. 100,000 on that pullback here. This volume's quite high. Now, this doesn't look terrible, right? We're clearly in an ascending wedge here. Just given how cold the market is, I think I would prefer to just watch and see how this plays out. The very high volume with the very low float makes me feel like this is higher to go up than down. That's just my intuition. But I'm kind of confused why it hasn't gone yet. I feel like with a float this low, and with us having million share candles for some of these minutes, I just feel like this should have moved more. Don't really understand why it hasn't in either direction. The fact it's not moving really in either is very interesting. All right, we're about to have the half-hour market here. Hopefully see some more things come up on the scanners to look at. Just a real quick look back at an LSP. This one is basically just flatlined. Not really impressive at all. But yeah, I'll keep watching this until I see something come up on the scanners. I'm assuming we'll get something at the half hour. This thing has been playing cat and mouse for so long now. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 really rejections at this level. I'm very curious how it's going to play out. Caps high volume. We do have news on this. Let's take a look at it. Okay, secures 3.25 million to advance 15 million secretive or accretive acquisition. Okay. Oh, this is a no. Okay, this says 158,000 shares, but Thinkorswim says 6 million. So this is probably a company that dilutes a lot. Actual float's probably between 500,000 and 6 million. I'll just say about 4 million. Or 130. We're going to see resistance around 140, 150. Above 150 looks clean. Maybe above 160, actually. We had this here. Yeah, daily doesn't actually look that great, right? We just had this kind of downtrend. Volume isn't terribly bad. I'm a bit iffy on this one, though. Just the fact the company's diluted. The daily doesn't look amazing. Right, we've got several from $2, 170s probably resistance, 160s, 150s is probably resistance. You've got the psychological 150. I see a lot of walls going up on this. And the volume isn't extraordinary. It's not terrible. This isn't terrible. I'm not convinced it's going to work. KYI are seeing a bit of a pullback. Another 1 million shares on this one. Yeah, I think I'm gonna play wait and see on this one. I want to see if this makes the 1 minute high and if we actually get a resolution or not. Volume's not terrible, but it's also not that high. Yeah, I'm like mixed on this. I feel like this could go either way, but I feel like I'm more bearish than bullish. Just a little bit more bearish though. Oof. Yeah, that's rough. Has mostly recovered it though. That flush down was on very low volume at the time. I think there was only like, what would that have been? Like maybe 20,000 shares of volume on that first push down. We're seeing more volume come in and it's retesting the low. Okay, so yeah, because there's probably some people that are just taking the 1 minute high just to take it. But this setup didn't look clean. The daily didn't look clean. This company appears to have a history of diluting. There's probably some people underwater. Catalysts is okay. It's not crazy strong. Volume isn't crazy high. This felt very iffy to take this trade. It looks like it didn't work out. I mean, it could always recover from here, but the setup just didn't look that good to me. Keep an eye on it though, see if it actually does curl or not. Go ahead and add it to a watch list. Caps, not cap. I'm really hoping this stock holds up because at this point, just anything holding up will give confidence to some people. At this point, we're probably going to be looking for top of the hour to see for any stocks moving. Because Caps was the only stock I saw that had anything significant. I mean, JZXN is still running, if anyone's interested in that. It's just too cheap for me to trade. I would need this thing to run like 10 cents to have a good risk reward for the commission cost. That's asking way too much. I don't even know what the heck this thing's doing. I mean, there was news, right? So there's a biotech news catalyst. And I mean, what, is this just like a super low float or something? It doesn't even show it. Let me check Thinkorswim. Well, Thinkorswim's saying it's 47 million. Very high price for that. Don't know if I can trust the float reportings on this. But yeah, the volume's not there, so it doesn't matter. Okay, we got BRTX. This one had news at the half hour, and it's just now getting volume. Okay. Let's see. So, oh, this looks terrible. So you had very low volume on this massive pop, and then you had very high volume on this hammer. I mean, I'll definitely watch this because this looks interesting. This will be a good data point. Same story, though. I don't like it for a trade setup. I'll definitely keep an eye on it, though. See if this does anything. Okay, nice little pop here, but not crazy high volume relative to these candles. Right? The two candles of pullback were the high candles. We're seeing a pop on low volume. Or lower volume. Someone took a 1 minute high here, maybe at around 184. We'll see what kind of return that kind of entry would pay out. Definitely feel more bearish than bullish on this setup. These three candles of volume look terrible for the stock. I'd be pretty surprised if this returns to highs. Without massive volume spike, at least. It's kind of holding around this level, though. I keep seeing like 186, 187 as the floor. Curious if that'll hold up. That was a pretty bullish breakdown. Okay. A lot of noise. So this candle broke down, but it was on extremely low volume, followed by a false breakout, and then we just ended up going neutral. Probably a lot of people got shaken out from that. I'm not as bearish anymore. Okay, very clean pop through too. Well, okay, nice volume spike here. Okay, that's what I was saying would be the one thing that would make me convinced this would go back to highs, is a nice volume spike. Kind of invalidating the volume candles here. Okay, this is more bullish now. I mean, it could just end up reversing here, but it's definitely more bullish now. I'll take a starter there. Do I add? I'll just keep it at 188. The volume on this breakdown wasn't too high. Oof. Okay, that was an increase though. Yeah. Probably just going to look for 181 to get out, if it'll give it. I'll just take 180. Yeah, so this first pullback here, we had a bit of a breakdown to 188. It was on low volume for this. Combined with this being the continuation of this pullback, I thought that was bullish, but then we had a spike probably around to 50,000 or 100,000. And that caused that big flush here. Not a terrible loss. So we are 0 and 1 to start. Okay. It's also had news. This news is like 20 minutes old, though. We're just now getting volume spikes for it. Let this go from 8 to 11. Yeah, this one, the float. Yeah, this says 333 million, but I find that unlikely. Thinkorswim is saying it's 1.6 million. Given how much this moved, I would be more inclined to say this is around 1.6 million. A bit weird, though. News comes out 20 minutes ago and it's just now moving. And it's just a request for a meeting. It's not even anything too crazy. I'm not sure why this random spike happened. I could understand it if it was when the news came out, but this is weird. So what is this? 3 out of 4 stocks that came on scanners have failed so far today. So we had NLSP, we had CAPS, we had BRTX, and lastly BKYI. And only BKYI is somewhat holding up. Not quite what I would want to see. The RTX is still kind of holding at this level. It hasn't given the whole move back, but still hasn't done anything too impressive. even on these two volume spikes here, this was only really 200,000. Like, that's not impressive volume. It could be impressive if it was the start of it, right? So like the next leg would be like 1 million shares, but for that to have been the peak is unimpressive. There's two catalysts here, or rather this is probably like a 6:30, 7 o'clock thing. I don't know if these are two different catalysts or just renamed same catalysts. Right, announces initiation of phase 1 trial, begins dosing study. Okay, it's probably just a rewording of the same thing. Right, so like you can see the first leg here. For some reason it's coming up again. No, this came out at 42. Good morning, man. Only one trade for me so far. Down $8. Didn't work out. It's been really slow. There were 4 stocks on watch. 3 of the 4 failed. This worries me too, because even if I see a stock that looks like it has a good setup, knowing that the stock's like 75% failure rate, that makes me just not want to trade even if it's a good setup. And I'm sure other people are going to feel the same way. Man, now me selling it 181 doesn't feel so bad, considering it went all the way down. We got a little less than 5 minutes till the top of the hour. And hopefully we'll see something better. BKYI is still holding up surprisingly well. I thought it was maybe going to reverse once we saw that large volume coming in, but it's holding up surprisingly well around 180, 190. one didn't really give any pullbacks. It kind of just went straight up. Had like one micro pullback here. Kind of one here too. That's like, it feels so risky to trade like that right now. I'll definitely keep this one on watch. This one is kind of looking interesting. All right, 30 seconds till the top of the hour. Weird. Just a slow creep up on minimal volume. No news. This looks very unsafe. ATON. See, you just called it out at the same time I saw it there. Okay, there was news on this. Another therapeutics. I'll go ahead and throw a half-size order out if this was to break down. RECT. RECT looks like it might be moving. Yeah. With very low volume, though. So 680s might be a bounce area. I'll take a stab at it here. Sold half. Can we get out the rest? I'm cutting it. That was an insanely good hit. So the rationale for that trade, daily setup, there was clear support around here. We broke down on low volume to right at this level. Took half size because this thing's a lot more volatile. Sold half into this first pop and tried to look for the next leg, but it hesitated at 750. Do I only trade upside? No, I trade both sides. So I'll trade the front side and the back side. So like I have two different strategies I use. Both these strategies were front side that I traded today so far. So I call it strategy 1 the front side. It'll say 2 if it's the back side. Or not necessarily backside, but a significant dip would be backside in my opinion. At least that's how I'm describing it. That was a crazy good hit though. Okay, at least we're back to green. So I sold at 750, and if I had held, it's so risky to do that though. I can't really. I'm like thinking about how I sold at 750 and I could have held and got 850, right? So I was holding 25 shares. That'd be an extra 25 bucks. But you got, like, I'm looking at the context of this, right? Like, you figure I was looking at it, right? I want to actually go back one more candle if I can. I was looking at it at the context of I missed this first pop to 830s. I had tried to sell, and even that was not able to get hit. And then when I saw it struggle at 750 for like 10, 15 seconds, you got to consider this thing just went from 4 to 750 in 2 minutes. And if it's struggling at 750, even with 1/4 size, it's pretty dangerous to keep holding. So I definitely don't regret getting out, even though I could have made a little bit more on it. And I mean, if I had kept holding for more, like I would actually be down right now if I didn't bail out at some point here. I should be happy with what I got. Nothing else really showing up at the moment. Interesting how this bounced. So we saw a breakdown below 580s. And it immediately reclaimed, and now we're seeing this pop. I'm curious if this one's going to resolve. I'm probably not going to touch it here. The volume isn't amazing for how much this has moved. I feel like the volume should be higher for this to hold up. ATON had a random spike. What the heck? That's a pretty crazy pop for it to come back down to. So we had volume of like 18,000 into a 50,000 share rug pull. It feels really dangerous today. There's been a lot of stocks rug pulling. Probably just because of the lack of conviction in buyers. People are racing to the exits if it's not resolving immediately. That'd be my guess. Good volume on RECT. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing actually does run. This thing is probably the best looking setup I've seen so far today. Okay. It's slightly tempting to just get in here. I'm still a little bit concerned because of the rate of rug pulls we've seen today. But this is probably the best looking setup I've seen so far today. Thinking about punching it at 8 there. Wasn't sure though. So we saw it pop to 827-ish. Very nice move. $500,000. It's very nice volume too. So we went up and we basically tapped 10. We had a $1 retracement. It still looks okay. This does look a little concerning because it's starting to form a bit of a topping tail. But if it reclaims it, in pretty quick time. That will kind of remove the bearish context. I really thought about getting in there at 9. This thing just seems so whiplashy, though. From 9 up to 970, back down to 9. The volume's high enough. I'm not expecting, like, a rug down to, like, $6 or something. But there's still significant risk of, like, a $1 or $2 rug. This was also a failed 1-minute high. I wouldn't really even call it failed. It's not failed yet. We got 6 minutes till the half hour. See how this 1 minute resolves. Might have a 1 minute high here. Not even putting in a 1 minute high. I went ahead and jumped in here. 726. Was trying to see if I could get some kind of bounce here, but not sure if it's going to happen now. Went ahead and added there. I'm really looking for 650 to hold. Good morning. I'm gonna just try and get out here. I gave it as much time as I could. I really expected some kind of 1 minute high here. It could just be the case that a large seller is just distributing this whole way down. There's just no curl at all, and this attempted curl just failed. Rough. CLRB has ended up failing. Brutal. Was it like 6.90 something? I can't remember what price I bought it. It's about that. Man. Rough. But yeah, me getting out there was right. I tried to give it as much time as I could, but there was just someone pushing this down. When we finally did get the 1 minute high, it couldn't hold it. Pretty interesting volume here. That's how it goes. CODX is moving, but it's a penny stock. Only 49 cents. I'm not gonna trade it. Very frustrating. This whole leg down from 9:30 all the way to 6. No 1 minute high resolved well. This one didn't work. This one didn't work. I mean, this one could still potentially work because we haven't decided that yet. But at least initially you're down 50 cents in 5 minutes. So what is that? That's like 2 out of maybe 7 stocks that have worked. Not very clean. Yeah, this one's just... I mean, same thing, right? You try to buy for a 1 minute high here, you get smoked. BKYI is still holding up. Alright, looked like it might have been coming back down. I feel so bad for Vlad. I really do. I'm like the polar opposite of Vlad, honestly. Like, if you can see the way I trade, I'm like hyper conservative, right? Like a $20 loss on a $5,000 account is like very minimal. My account rarely fluctuates more than 5%. Like, it almost never does. More often is realistically, more often the account fluctuates around like 0.5%. Even now in this cold market, though, it's been less than that. I've just not been taking as many trades. But no, I feel bad for Vlad. Like, last week he traded whenever he said he wasn't gonna. He's been just having these very big 10% losing days, and that's so hard to recover from. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's gonna do. I personally think he either needs to just stop trading, or he just needs to be trading with like one share. I think he's trading think or swim, right? So like he shouldn't have commissions. So he could afford to trade one share at a time. I feel really bad for him. I've been looking at a lot of traders. I have like 10 that I'm kind of scouting and just watching right now. A lot of them just aren't really doing well. This last month has been brutally hard. Like, September was really good. August was dry. But no, September was really good. I made like 900 last month from trading. This month has just been... The start of this month, I was like kind of doing okay. I had that $200 winner like 2.5 weeks ago or something. But yeah, this last probably 2 weeks has been absolutely brutal. I would have really thought we'd be out of it by now. No, and he doesn't get it, right? Like, and he's new. You can't really judge him too much for that. It's so hard to like really grasp the emotions. You just gotta wish for the best for him, and because only he can really make the decisions he needs to make. I mean, you just gotta be there to support him. That's what I think. And I mean, I do it sometimes too. Like, what did I just trade? Like, even this trade, you could argue I held this too long. Because how long did I hold this for? 827 to 835. That's an 8-minute hold. A little over 8 minutes. I don't usually hold that long. Now, I was a bit stubborn there. I was really convinced we were going to see a curl. When we saw 750, I was convinced that was going to hold, and then it didn't. Because I was up at one point on this. I was up like 25 cents a share on 50 shares. But I was really, really looking for that squeeze to 8 or 850. And then I was a little bit too stubborn to give up on it. I saw it kind of flatlining out around 650, so I added here, 658. Was really thinking it would curl back to 750, and once I saw that even after this first 1 minute high, it wasn't holding, I was losing all conviction. But that kind of mindset maybe is not very productive in this type of market. Could be a sign, too, that I'm getting impatient. Right? I've only taken essentially 3 trades today. And seeing this, where it's just not curling at all, can be quite frustrating. Even trying to cut this trade was very frustrating. Right, I didn't even get like the best exit 640s. This was up at around 660 at one point. But no, I mean, I'll keep watching Vlad, see how he does. At the rate he's going, though, he's going to have to stop. Like, he's just going to run out of money. In some ways, that's probably for the best for him. Hopefully, he doesn't just put more money in the account. I'm still so surprised that this thing didn't curl at all. It's like, even the volume, as this was going down, the volume was dropping. Although, I suppose maybe you could look at it more of while this volume was dropping, it's still somewhat elevated. So this could be very gradual selling pressure from one person. I guess that's also a possibility. Yeah. I mean, what Vlad went through, he's definitely emotionally compromised, and it's not like something you can recover from overnight. He's right. I mean, his account's down like it's, I don't know the exact number, but it's probably around 95+%, right? Because he lost 70% trading like several hundred times in one day. I mean, he's the only real cure to that is to just, I personally think, either go straight to one share a trade or just stop for a couple weeks, because like he's not in the right state of mind. But no, even for me, like just kind of catching yourself. And this one was more difficult too, because this was a slower mover, so it was more like a slow bleed. But I don't usually like to hold losers more than 5 minutes, and the fact I was holding it 8 minutes could, I think there's a real chance that you could argue I was becoming a bit compromised myself there. Luckily, I have the share size in place. I didn't even use my share size, but like one of the most destructive things I've found is just going in with too large of size. And the impulse to just keep adding to a loser, hoping that it'll bounce, right? Because I could have kept adding. I could have been super stubborn and not sold here. Was it here? Yeah. Yeah. I could have not sold here, and I could have said, okay, it'll bounce here, and I'll keep adding and adding and adding. And then I see it pulling back, and I'll add here, add here. The next thing you know, I'm down like $500 or something. It's stubbornness is what it is. Despite it doing this whole leg down, the stubbornness saying, I have to be right. And I mean, I do it too. I think we all do it, at least a little bit. Right, because this loss is probably a bit bigger than it should have been. Right, a $47 loss. This, realistically, this should have probably been like a $25 loss at most. So I was holding this a bit more than I probably should have. Yeah, this just like, this pressure of selling, this feels so deliberate. Like someone's selling it off. Hmm. Sorry for my ramble. It's just something I think's an important thing to talk about. Back to stocks. I don't see anything too interesting to watch at the moment. All right, this one's just kind of dead right now. Like, part of me would want to try and buy a flush on low volume because this is so extended. But another part of me is worried because there's a lot of bag holders now. Right? And you're having another 1 minute candle. After all of this 1 minute candle has failed. Or it's not failed yet, but like it hasn't resolved cleanly. For all purposes, I would want to be bullish. Just because this feels so extended to the downside. But these candles aren't an insignificant volume, right? Like a lot of these are 100,000 share candles. I'm probably not going to touch this anymore for today at least. Not without a significant change. We got 7 minutes till the top of the hour. I'll see if anything comes up. And wait like 5 minutes. If there's anything that comes up on the scanners, I'll take a look at it. But if I don't see anything, then I'm probably going to bounce. Yeah, this it's been a rough start to this challenge, honestly. Right? $13, lose 16. Or no. No, yeah, this is right. $13, 16, 49, 24. Yeah, it's just kind of back and forth right now. After today, I'm only going to be up like $3 gross. This thing ended up rolling over again. Could have been a false break there. $490 to $520. That's a pretty good bounce. It's very low volume though, relative to this. DVLT looks kind of interesting. Got volume coming in here, and on the 5-minute, it looks like we're retesting the high from intraday. No news. So this is more of just a follow through from yesterday. It's got 52 million though. It's a little high. Yeah, this is moving a bit slow. BKYI is breaking out. Very high volume too. I'm still a bit confused how this thing can have such high volume and barely move. Right, like the spread is pretty tight. Large orders on both sides. Well, we're at 9, so we'll see if anything else comes up in the meantime. Another big breakdown. Incredibly high volume on this though. We got WLDS moving a bit here. There is news on it. Some sort of agreement with South Korea. It's kind of gotten beaten up over time. Might be some headwinds around 4. Yes, I use Thinkorswim for charts and Lightspeed for the level 2 and the execution. Yeah, Lightspeed charges commissions. It's roughly 70 cents per 100 shares for a transaction. That's kind of why I'm calculating it using this. Right, so I've made 23 in commissions from this. I'm just trying this out to see how using a brokerage with a $5,000 account would fare. So yeah, I would technically be up right now, but because of commissions, I'm not. This looks like it could be interesting. So you kind of had this pop on high volume, but then it kind of just reversed. I would have thought this would have resolved better, considering it's a more well-known name, but maybe it's just so beaten up because of the daily that just anyone that can get out is getting out. I mean, at least the last few days we've seen somewhat of a curl, so maybe people would have gotten out if they were bag holders here. Ooh, seeing a bit more pressure though here. Harder looking rejection. Still quite high volume, but not as catastrophic. This is pretty similar volume to these two. I'd say it's roughly equal. There's not a huge advantage to buy. Let's see. This one's coming down, but it's on higher volume. I might actually try and take something here. Yeah. Thought about getting in there. It looked like a bit of a discrepancy with price action and volume. This one kind of just rolled over. Yeah, it's looking like around 8 out of 10 stocks that are pumping or rolling over. Very high failure rate. Sorry to jump around with your question though. But yeah, to answer the other part of your question, the reason I'm using two different brokers, so Lightspeed has great charts, or not Lightspeed, Thinkorswim has great charts, but Lightspeed kind of sucks for that. So that's why I'm using Thinkorswim. They also have the news here, so I can see news on a stock. So I kind of just have these integrated so I can have them all on the same screen. As far as why I'm using Lightspeed, it's for the level 2 data, because their level 2 data is excellent. Their execution speed is also excellent, and they have really good hotkeys. Historically, I actually perform better with just using a free broker, especially in colder markets like this, where whenever I'm having instances where I'm up like 20 bucks, but because of commissions, I'm actually like slightly red. So yeah, historically, I actually perform better with Thinkorswim, and maybe I could try another challenge exclusively with Thinkorswim. The main reason I wanted to try Lightspeed was because normally when I would trade with Thinkorswim, I would trade during the market hours, where I can use hotkeys to submit orders, but that's not really the case with pre-market. On Lightspeed, you have to use the active trader. Otherwise, you have to like do a confirmation window, and that's just a pain. There might be ways to set it up to go around that, but my solution was just to not trade pre-market on Lightspeed. That's why I'm using, or on Thinkorswim, that's why I'm using Lightspeed. So we have Kit here. Kit's moving. It had news at 9:05. Kind of moved slightly, but not a lot. And then we have a sudden surge here. Some sort of debt conversion. This one's really been beaten up this year. Was it $50? Now it's at like $2. I don't like these topping tails. Fair enough. I mean, if you're going to run 30 cents, I stand corrected, I suppose. Impressive move. So completely recovering the breakdown it had 2 days ago. Very, very, very high volume. Wow. 220 to 360. So there were some people that just tried to buy at 320. See how 320 holds up. Did not expect to move like this. Really struggling here. Just a small scalp on that. I would have liked to see it break 4 and go, but it was struggling too much at 380s, 390s. Because if this thing rolls over, I mean, it just did this massive run. Holding here is very dangerous. While I wait for that to decide if it's pulling back, I can lock this. Yeah, like I've barely used any of my capital. I've only used 1,400 of the 5,000. Is this 1 minute high gonna resolve? Or is it gonna flush? All I know is I'm not buying it here, because 80% of the stocks today have flushed. The only thing that's really good for this, though, is the volume is stupidly high. Buying around 320 would be 310 to 320 would be pretty nice entry. I'm just looking at the daily chart with that. I feel like 310, 320 would be pretty nice. It would need to be an extension, though. It's gonna get in there with half size. This is on lighter volume. Just gonna cut it. No. Didn't quite time the bottom of that. Didn't feel safe holding it. What was the low here? Would I have got hit? No, the low was 25. My 100 share order would not have got hit. Yeah, so I was looking to get... I got more aggressive with that entry because I saw it was holding around here. These two candles were much lower than all of this. It looked bullish. Maybe I should just call for the day. Pretty nasty reversal on this, though. I wonder if this was a short squeeze or something, because this is... Oh, was this two different news? 9:10. No, this was a different news catalyst that came out at 9:10. I see. So they announced one news catalyst at 9:05 and then another one at 9:10? Hmm. Hmm. This doesn't hold. 290s looks good. All right, that's the lower range of the daily support. Throw an order there. Maybe 280s. Went just below or just above 3. Hmm. Ooh, sizable seller there. Although it looked like it was a order placed across different routers. It wasn't actually two 20,000 share orders. Just a smart order. $20,000 order on the bid. But that's not really a big deal when there's 500,000 every minute. So that 290s level I was thinking about, now it's too close to where the price is consolidated. Now I'm looking for a breakdown and a retracement to 290s. If it just holds here. You're done for the day? I'm thinking about calling it too. I'm just... I mean, this was an impressive performance, but it's also not really holding up. I'll give this like another minute. If this thing doesn't break down, then I'm gonna call it too. If we don't see a new low on this candle, I'm done. Very similar to what we saw in that other stock, where price seems to just be getting laddered down. We had that false 1 minute high. I'm gonna call it there. The bounce was there. I was like 7 cents from the potential bounce point. Got $88 with 20 shares. I mean, hey, that's green is green, you know? Like, really, it's just about surviving right now. This market is just brutal for trying to actually trade in. Yeah. Just staying alive is what's important. But yeah, I think I'm just going to call it there. Hopefully we'll see the market heat back up tomorrow, but we're just going to have to be patient and wait and see what happens. But yeah, you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll make the recap later and post it.